We're such idiots.
Do you think by the end of this video we might break a record for the most amount of clocks mentioned and seen in one video? What do you reckon, Steve?
Who's the biggest clock?
Who's the biggest clock? I don't know. Well, that's another question altogether.
Right, we're a couple of clocks.
Yeah, we're hosted by two big clocks.
I feel like I'm in prison.
You're stuck in clock hell, Stephen. I think we should have an ice cream after this.
Okay, how long have we got?
About 4.5 hours. See you later.
I might have a kip.
Well, this is looking good, isn't it, Steve?
Aye. It's hammering it down. But it looks like it tails off over the next 3 hours. And then it stops, and then it's fine for a couple of days just in this area. I don't know about anywhere else.
It feels like the closer we get to home, the more we see home from home weather.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing but bleeding rain, I'm afraid. So what we're going to do, I think, is we need to make something to eat. I'm hungry. There is a sports centre there. It might have a bar, if we're lucky. Maybe a shower.
In the meantime, let's just sit here for about 3 hours and wait for the rain to stop.
I could just stand outside with put a bit of soap on my head, couldn't I?
Could do. We just shower in this.
Yeah, you could actually.
Natural. So we've arrived in a place called Furtwangen. So this is a little town in the Black Forest in the south kind of region, and I think you pronounce it Furtwangen, very close to that. I hope that's right. Now the reason we've come here actually is because one of our subscribers mentioned it and actually asked if we would go here, and we said, you know, if we happen to be passing that way then we would. Well, we kind of have come this way, so we thought we'd come and give it a look and see what's around basically. But there is one specific thing here that we're hoping to do, and it might be good for a day like today, if we can actually get there, because now it's just really torrential. Yeah, so we've still got to walk to it first.
We've got to give it an hour, I think.
Yeah, but anyway, we'll tell you more about that in a bit. Let's get set up or get something to eat or something.
Let's get something to eat.
Yeah. Well, it's still raining, of course, but before we go and have a look around Furtwangen, I just wanted to show you briefly the place we are probably staying at tonight, because it is one of the most unusual places we've stayed. Well, not unusual, but it's a little bit eerie, but also incredibly useful. You may have noticed we've changed clothes, and I will show you why in a second. We are in a sports centre car park. I think it's like a little indoor football centre or something like that. It's quite small, and this is a dedicated spot for motorhomes. It's actually, we thought it was free to stay, but I think you leave like a €5 donation. There's nobody here, but it's quite a handy little spot. However, what's really good about it, so we read there were toilets here and possibly a shower, but when we got here it all looked closed up, but the door's open, and well, it's just like being in a horror film, really. I feel like I'm in Nightmare on Elm Street or something, because it was eerie as hell. The lights were off. We wondered if the door had been left unlocked by accident. But it seems you just use an envelope and you leave a €5 donation to stay. But I think this has been left open for people to use. We've been in and out a few times. This is actually really scary. It's a lot darker than it looks on camera. But you've got toilets along here. Toilets in there with a light switch. And in here, you've got a locker room, but also showers. So that's really good. They're open showers, but as I said, there is nobody here. But still, as useful as this is, it's just absolutely terrifying. There's nobody here, everything's in darkness. And this shower room and locker room, doesn't it remind you of like those 80s American horror films, like Nightmare on Elm Street, or like one of the versions of it they made, you know, the Stephen King story? Yeah. Talking on camera makes this a lot less scary somehow. But I'm gonna leave. I'm sure you don't need to see me walking in the darkness, but yeah, how unusual is this? It's such a strange thing, and it feels like they've left it open for campers, perhaps. But for €5, not each, to stay overnight, there's a bin, there's no services, and then to use the toilets and the shower, that's really, really good. So thank you, Vangan. We are very grateful for that. Well, we've had our little showers in the scary sports centre.
Yeah.
What we're going to do, I think we're going to stay here for the night, and we've paid our €5, which is pretty good given it's got a shower.
I mean, we decided that we just stay anyway. I mean, we would have paid €5 for a shower anyway, wouldn't we? So
Yeah, definitely. So when we've been to the service stations,
it don't matter.
No, at the service stations we've paid more than that because you have to pay about 3 or 4 each, and that was just 5 collectively. But we probably will stay. But what we're going to do now is we're going to drive into Fort Vangen because, well, it's quite a walk from where we are, and it's still raining, even though it's eased off. So we are going to go in and take a look at something that we've come here for specifically.
Aye.
I hope we can film some of it. If not, that's very disappointing. But let's go and see.
Let's go.
So we've driven a couple of minutes down the road. It's a lot longer to walk, and we are in the town of Fort Vangen. Now, what we've come here for specifically, I don't know what else is in the town. We'll try and have a look around while we're here if we can, but we've come here specifically to go to a clock museum. So it's all about clocks this week. We have come here to see a museum that is meant to be one of the oldest technical museums in the world. It opened in the 1850s, and it's full of clocks. Try to say, not to say that too quickly, I guess. So it's about clocks, the history of clocks. We are in the Black Forest, and of course this has a huge connection to cuckoo clocks specifically. But this museum goes into everything to do with clocks. So if you want to know about clocks, we're going to go and find out about clocks and go and see some clocks.
Let's get clocking.
You want to see some clocks?
Let's clock off.
Probably lots of clocks in there. Big clocks, small clocks, working clocks, old clocks. I mean, they've got them all. Right, we're at the Clock Museum. It just looks like a random building, doesn't it? I mean, it's a bit unremarkable. It feels like you wouldn't even notice it, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Do you think by the end of this video we might break a record for the most amount of clocks mentioned and seen in one video? What do you reckon, Steve?
Who's the biggest clock?
Who's the biggest clock? I don't know. Well, that's another question altogether.
Right, we're a couple of clocks.
Yeah, we're hosted by 2 big clocks.
Yes.
Anyway, let's go in. Right, Steve's got the guidebook. You're going to tell us all about the clocks, aren't you, Steve? All the history. We're counting on you. If we even know where to start.
Okay, start here.
Start here.
Stonehenge.
Ah. Well, we know this clock. Right, get up now and start reading about clocks immediately. Come on. We're here for clocks. Oh, of course. Tell me all about everything you've read.
Well, I would do that, Dan, but I think that because your knowledge of clocks is so limited that you wouldn't be able to understand what I was talking about, so I'll spare you the embarrassment.
Oh, please, I'd love to be educated then.
I don't have the time to educate somebody.
Well, we do. And of all places, we have more time than anywhere in the world.
Hilariously, this place, all the clocks say a different time.
So the clocks are actually wrong.
Anyway, that's a nice one.
That is nice. We'll have that for our future front room, shall we? We'll put it in the van.
prison.
You're stuck in clock hell, Stephen. You're literally forced to walk around and learn about clocks.
No, it's okay. I mean, I like, you know, the carving around the clocks on the wood. And
You really look like you're liking it.
But I think a lot of it, because it's all written down in this book, and a lot of it's just like statements about stuff which don't really tell me a lot.
I think there's more in German. I think more information. What we've got in English isn't so varied. But
and also, when I go to a museum, I don't read everything anyway. You know, I look at something I find interesting and then I read about it, but generally I don't read everything. And there's too much to read in this book. I won't take any of it in. So I'll look at the clocks.
But it tells you the history of time and everything, Stephen.
And enjoy the art. Time for ice cream.
I think we should have an ice cream after this.
Okay, how long have we got?
About 4.5 hours. See you later.
I might have a kip.
So that is the clock museum. I mean, you would not think anything of that, would you? It just looks like a school or a college or something. Yeah, definitely doesn't give much of an indication of what's inside. Well, did you enjoy your big clock experience, Steve?
I was a bit bored.
Oh.
I mean, they're nice to look at, and there was interesting to look at, like especially some of the craftsmanship in it. But yeah, I ain't really interested.
Honestly, Philistines.
I'm just not very clever.
Well, we're all clocked up. I really enjoyed our little visit to the Fort Vangen Clock Museum. I mean, I'm not into clocks either, you know. I can see why Stephen was bored, but I tried to make an effort to read what was there. But there is just a lot of information, and obviously everything is about clocks, so it's a hell of a lot to take in. It was a bit difficult because all of it was in German, but we did have like an English booklet that we could look through, but trying to film and read the booklet at the same time was a bit tricky. But you know what? It went into so much, and it makes you realise the history of clocks in the Black Forest and what everybody went through, and it takes you from the beginning of time, sundials, and how that developed into mechanisms, and how everybody competed through the ages, right up to advertising, and how America then came in and the Black Forest tried to compete with American companies, and it just goes on and on. There's so much depth to it, right down to like the fact that people would die at a young age in the Black Forest painting, I forget what it was, like a type of varnish on the front of the clocks at a particular period, and it would be poisonous, so they would often die, but they would do it because it was good money at the time. So yeah, there was some interesting timepieces, some really good, like what's the word, specimens on show, including that giant one. I forget what it's called, I'm really sorry, but it's quite famous.
A big clock.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're into clocks, absolutely perfect. If you're not, it does give you something. It was okay. I'm glad we stopped by to see it. It's something a little bit different. But we are going to move on from Fort Vangen. I nearly got it. I couldn't remember then.
Fort Vangen.
Bloody hell. Be easy when we get back and just say Margate again, isn't it? You know? Anyway, so we are not going to stay here. It's not too much in the town, really. And we're not going to go back to that little place we filmed earlier. We still left our donation because we used the shower, and we thought that's fair enough, because we are heading up the road to another town, slightly bigger town, which also has a bit of a clock history. So we've got a bit of a time thing going on here. And it's called Triberg, is it, Stephen?
I think it's Triberg.
Triberg. Okay, we never looked up the pronunciation yet, but you did, so that's good.
I didn't.
Oh, you might be right, though. So we're heading to that town. And we've got a little park up in mind, which might get us into some attractions later today or possibly tomorrow.
No.
We're going to find out.
Aye.
Let's go. And we need to bloody go shopping as well because we've got no food.
Aye.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Morning. So woken up in our little spot in Triberg. Very nice. Good night's sleep. Well, kind of. We're on a bit of a slope, but it was perfectly functionable. And today we're going to go out and explore this little town. We've just had some breakfast. I had one of my savoury porridge specials, which I should have filmed really to disgust you all, but I just didn't even think about it. And it had spinach, carrots and courgette in it with a bit of chicken stock, so a bit unusual for breakfast, but I quite like that every now and again. Stephen had the traditional version with fruit and berries.
Right.
We were debating, weren't we? Because in Lidl here, we always see these berries, big tubs of red, bright red berries. They're absolutely delicious. And Stephen thought they were lingonberries and I thought they're red currants, but the reality is neither of us know the difference between the two, so it could be either. But I think we've just discovered they're red currants, aren't we?
I just looked on the box.
Oh, right. We should have just looked on the box.
They're red currants.
Right, okay, well that's
They're
that.
very nice.
So we're going to have a look around Triberg today, and there's a few things here. The waterfall, like we said, which is also Germany's highest waterfall. Whether they mean highest point in terms of elevation or they mean highest in terms of sheer drop, I don't know. But I don't think it's one sheer vertical drop, the entire thing. I think it goes down in stages. There's also some things here. Well, there's a hell of a lot more clocks as well. So I hope you like clocks, because there's going to be a lot of clocks in this video continuously.
Aye.
So get clocking,
But
Steve.
I think there might be a bit more novelty and fun then.
This looks like a fun clock place rather than an educational one, so we're kind of mixing it up here, but the clock theme continues.
Aye.
Let's get clocking.
Let's go.
So the first thing we've come to see just outside of town, which is quite a walk and requires going back uphill, so Stephen's delighted,
Not.
is apparently the world's biggest cuckoo clock. Is this it, Stephen? Or is it round the other side?
I don't know.
No, so we got it wrong. This side is actually the world's largest cuckoo clock. I don't know if you can hear because there's traffic and there's a river, so this is impossible.
Aye.
I think we'll go somewhere else and do this bit. So it wasn't this bit, it's the bit round the other side, although it's all the same building, that was the world's largest cuckoo clock. Although apparently several claim to have that title. But this one, the one we saw around the other side, is the one with the official Guinness World Record for that being the world's largest cuckoo clock. And it is a cuckoo clock. It's the exact same mechanisms. It was made during the 1990s, and it got the record in 1997. It cost an absolute fortune to make, I think we read.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Over £1 million.
Equivalent of €1 million. And I don't think there's a purpose to it other than to say we've built the world's biggest cuckoo clock, but hey, why not? And it was built using very traditional Black Forest clock making techniques. So it's the exact same mechanisms, just on a much bigger scale. I think like 60 times bigger.
Yeah.
After dragging Stephen back up the hill to town, we set out to use our Triberg waterfall ticket, which allowed us entry into 3 other attractions. For €8 each, we thought this was great value, even if some of the attractions were, well, you'll see. First up was the surprisingly magical indoor model village. Next up was arguably Triberg's most famous attraction, the House of 1,000 Clocks, which was, well, the clue's in the name really.
So this town's a bit like a tale of two halves, really, isn't it? There's bits that are so touristy and so geared towards that, and there's other bits further down that kind of look a bit like a place that's time has forgot, but in a bad way, like it's really kind of run down, or there's lots of things that are closed up. It sort of gives the impression of something that was like big at one point, doesn't it?
That hasn't been able to sustain.
Yeah. I mean, don't get us wrong, there's still quite a few people here to see the attractions, but there's just, I don't know, it's weird. It feels like some made-up pop-up town. And some of it's not so great, and other parts are just purely made for tourists. It's very strange. But we just went in a shop called what was it?
House
of a Thousand Clocks. And there's, well, what can we say? There's clocks, yeah, you know, again, but there's one at the back, and it doesn't say world's most expensive, but maybe they're not allowed to. I'm sure it says world's most exclusive, whatever, clock, or cuckoo clock, and it costs a mere 20,000 euros, doesn't it? But I know that, like, I don't know what the diamonds or whatever those gems were, but they just look like little sequins from Poundland. They really didn't look that great.
They were Swarovski, however you say that.
Swarovski, is it?
Yeah,
I don't know. They look tacky though.
It looked really tacky.
It's like...
It looks like somebody that wants money that doesn't have money would buy to make it look like they've got money. It's really weird.
Somebody who's got like really tacky kind of statues at the end of their drive, maybe. I mean,
try
I'm not
and
saying they're
show
all
wealth.
tacky. Yeah.
Because they haven't got it.
Yeah. Shall we do that
And
then?
end up picking the tacky. I'd never do that.
No, me neither.
I don't mind showing people that I'm poor. If I was rich, I wouldn't tell anybody.
No.
Nobody
Well,
would know. I wouldn't look any different.
what would you tell me?
Well, maybe.
Oh. Well, we'll talk about that later.
Divorce can be
Yeah,
expensive.
yeah, that's true actually. But yeah, so it's a clock shop, House of a Thousand Clocks, world's most exclusive clock, and it just seemed a bit. Oh God! If you actually wanted to buy that, your
Good
money
for
should
you.
be taken off of you.
Yeah, give it to us.
Yeah, exactly. Right, we're going to the next thing. I don't even know what the hell we're about to do. Let's not even bother explaining it. It looks a bit of nonsense, but maybe it'll be fun.
It's included in our ticket.
It is, so we're going to do it. I'm not sure I'm in the mood for this, but let's just go along.
Yeah, we'll see. We're such idiots. Yeah.
Right, before you say anything, there's no way we would have gone there if it wasn't part of our ticket. Still, that ranks as one of the most ridiculous and pointless things we've ever done or seen.
I feel slightly ashamed.
It's like, it's probably fun if you've got a little kid, maybe for 5 seconds. Otherwise, we'll quickly move on and forget that ever happened, I think, shall we?
I think so.
Very odd.
Let's get out of here.
Maybe we're just miserable. I don't think so, though. I think that was just a bit shit.
I wonder if it's probably a bit like the Willy Wonka experience.
Yeah, it's very much like the Willy Wonka experience. You know the thing we're talking about, right? Anyway, next stop. So what we're going to see now, Stephen?
Gonna look at some water falling off some rocks.
You sound like you're really looking forward to it. But at least you sound like yourself.
No.
We don't know for definite, but I think we can kind of guess what that means. Which way are you going to pick, Steve? That's it. Some waterfalls, or some water falling over some rocks, as Stephen so poetically put it.
No.
Is that all of it then?
Dunno.
Don't know either.
I hope so.
Let's just keep going. We are back.
Aye.
I feel exhausted, do you?
Yeah.
I feel like I've
We've
got
been
no
out for
energy.
hours.
Yeah, it has been a long day. So I feel like I've got no energy to say anything. There's a bloody mosquito in here, of course there is. Triberg.
Yeah, it's alright. It's nice enough. It's not.
Ah, bloody hell. Just flew in my eye.
That's it. Get out. Look. That's it. Out.
Let's go to a quick advert break.
Anyway.
Take 2. Yeah, Triberg.
Yeah, it's alright. The €8 for the waterfall and the museum and the Fantasyland. What a night of nonsense.
Oh my god, that never happened.
And then the little,
we didn't do it.
A little replica place, whatever that was.
That was quite nice.
Yeah, that was quite nice. The museum was quite nice. The building itself is quite an old building with and it's all very carved inside, so that's actually quite nice. So I'd probably say it's worth the €8 for all of it together. I would never have paid for it individually.
No, not at all.
And I wouldn't have paid €5 for the museum or the other place, which is what they were by themselves.
Well, you wouldn't pay for much anyway, but you know, this is no shock to anyone.
Yeah.
But yes, altogether that was definitely worth it. I thought the waterfalls were really nice. Have we seen better? Probably. Have we seen worse? Yes. Well, there's no such thing as worse, but you know what I mean. We've seen more impressive, we've seen less impressive, but I think they were pretty good, and the paths were well made. It was very quite crowded with people, but it wasn't too bad. You had the stupid, the thing we will not talk about anymore, but at least we got in with our ticket. The museum was really big as well, wasn't it? So that was great. And then the model village was quite nice in a kind of like cute therapeutic sort of way. And you had the cuckoo clock out of town, which was like, if you're into that kind of thing, then maybe. The town, otherwise there's not a great deal here. It feels like a novelty place, as we were saying earlier. As soon as you go around the corner away from these tourist bits, it kind of descends into nothing. In fact, there are quite a few kind of closed up, run down buildings. So it feels like a town of two halves, where you've got the tourist bits at the top, where you come and do the things that we've done, and then not very much going on elsewhere. But it feels like maybe once upon a time it was bigger. I don't know.
It seems like it's had its day, because there's stuff that was closed down further away.
Like lots of hotels and things seem to be
so it's a
closed
bit like
up.
it's all kind of concentrated in one small area now, around the waterfall and the clock shop.
Obviously we don't know what we're talking about, it's just an impression we've got. But would we suggest coming here? It's up to you. If you're in the Black Forest and you're passing, then stop by, because there's, like what we did today, it was quite a varied experience if you like your clocks, of course. And the museum, well, it helps if you can speak German, because almost all of it was in German, but if you can, then you'll get a good background on the Black Forest and its history. Some very lovely ornaments and clothes and stuff in there. Yeah, I think we're going to move on now. We are going to find a park up. We're staying in the Black Forest, I think, and we're heading somewhere further north. We're not entirely sure where yet.
No.
So we'll catch up with you at the next stop.
Aye.
So we've arrived at our little air. We found a free air, which is always nice. It's quite full up, but that's okay. We found a little space in the corner for ourselves, and we're going to settle down. I'm going to get some dinner on. This looks very pretty here. We had a lovely little drive through the Black Forest, didn't we? Up a mountain and down the other side. Daisy managed all right.
Yeah.
Got some good views. And yeah, it just kind of reminded us, like, I think had we not had the accident, not that it was not the accident, had we not had the van problems, we would have had more time in this region. I think that was always the plan, but we're going to kind of have to whip through it, really. So it's such a shame, because there seem to be so many little pretty towns and like hiking trails, which now Steve has got out of, although not entirely. But you know, we can come back another time. The Black Forest, if we do come back to Europe again, it's like it's not far from Calais, is it, or from the Channel Tunnel?
Yeah. And I think when we was having all the mechanical troubles, that kind of delayed us getting down here when all the bad weather was here. So
yeah,
and all the rain.
Blessing in disguise in some ways, perhaps.
So.
Yeah, because avoiding the floods has been another game on this trip. The weather has been unbelievably strange. It keeps changing. The temperature keeps going up and down.
So many thunderstorms as well.
Yeah, it's really bizarre, and it seems like everybody's saying it. But anyway, we'll settle down in this nice little air, and we'll catch up with you later. I might even film some dinner. Anyone want some cooking? I might not do that, so maybe I shouldn't say that.
We'll see.
All right, bye.
Bye.
So tonight's gourmet spectacular is going to be pasta. We're going to be making a pasta sauce from scratch, which is always easy because it's a bit of a chuck it all in one pan kind of job. It's not going to be pretty, it's not going to be amazing, but hopefully it does the job. So we start with 1 onion, original stuff this. the recipe I'm talking about, and I was being sarcastic, not the onion. I'm not very good at chopping up stuff either, by the way. And the other thing, when your kitchen is right next to your bed, is that often when you're chopping things up and cooking things from scratch, you end up with bits of like onion and garlic flying off into your bloody bed covers and things like that. So that's always fun. Some stellar chopping going on here. I don't even know what I'm doing. My fingers are just slipping all over the place. Oh, whatever, that'll do. And we've got some bow tie pasta, so that'll be nice. Or farfalle, as it's called. Is that how you say it? Probably not. Farfalle? I don't know. I'm not Italian. Now we've got a bit of garlic. Not like that, obviously. I'm going to get the cloves out and chop them up a bit. So a little bit of garlic. I am rubbish at chopping garlic. And really, we should just grate it with one of those little graters. I'm sure we've even got one, but I just can't be bothered to look for it. We're not fussed. We live in a van, you know. Meals have to be unfussy. They can't be smart and amazing and all kind of fancy. I mean, I suppose they could, but it'd be a hell of a lot of an effort. So normally, if we've got something with garlic in, which is most meals to be fair, we just chop it up in little pieces. Nothing too fancy. Not even that small. Just gives it a little bit of flavour. I think if this was round one of MasterChef, I'd have been evicted before the episode was out. But I'm okay with that. Then we're going to put a little bit of chilli in it, because I quite like that in a bit of pasta, just to spice it up a little bit. Bit of a kick. Now, sometimes we leave the seeds in because I think it gives it more heat, but I think on this occasion we don't want it too hot, so I'm going to take them out. I don't even know if that's true or not, but that's what I've been led to believe. And we're also going to have a normal yellow pepper as well. Well, I say normal, I'm not quite sure what the variety is, but it's not a hot pepper basically, so we'll chop that up into slightly bigger chunks. That was handy, just came out. Now this might horrify some of you out there, some of you budding chefs or actual chefs, who knows, but we're going to put some mushrooms in, and we always buy fresh. However, they were really expensive in that Eeek supermarket. They seem quite expensive in Germany in general, mushrooms, and I'm not sure why. So Stephen decided, there's me putting the blame out there already in case it goes wrong, let's go buy some tinned mushrooms, which are normally not very nice, I don't think. Just because it's easier and cheaper and we can chuck them in. So let's see how this turns out. If it works, then that's an amazing idea. And I love him very much. If not, it's all his fault. God, they look like something that's just fallen out the bottom of your drain, don't they? And once we're ready to start actually cooking some bits and pieces, we always use a nice glug of olive oil, which of course is painful because this is like gold dust now. Have you seen the price of it? Anytime, this looks really expensive. They're all expensive. This one was on offer, so we always vary now. Sometimes you don't even find that the supermarket owned cheap brand of extra virgin olive oil is the cheapest. Sometimes a nicer one on offer is cheap, but none of it's cheap. It's absolutely horrendous. I kind of get why, but yeah, and unfortunately nothing else will do except olive oil in lots of situations, right? So it's the one thing we are still buying, and it does last a while, to be fair. But yeah, it's painful on the bank. So the pan that we normally cook in, I realised we hadn't actually washed it up from the last time it was used, and you know what, it's late, I couldn't be bothered, so I've just kind of used it again and wiped out the worst bits. Judge us if you like. Anyway, frying up the onions, the peppers and whatever else I chopped up. Then we go with a tin of chopped tomatoes, all very simple. We've now added the luxurious tin of mushrooms. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. I haven't done anything with them, I haven't stirred them in. The reason I'm filming this close up, by the way, is so we don't actually show off the disgusting edges of our pan. So I'm trying to be very careful about this. although I'm sure you've seen a hell of a lot worse in this van by this point. I've put a little bit of chicken stock in. Sometimes we use sea salt, and I often put paprika in, but I haven't got any. I've added some frozen spinach because we do have a freezer, by the way, in our fridge, a little compartment. So I've got a little pack of frozen spinach to give it a bit of greenery. And I've also added some of the cooked pasta water to help thicken it up. Thank you to one of our subscribers who mentioned that. And I've added some, oh my God, what was it? Oh, tomato puree as well. It's not brilliant, but whatever. And as Stephen says, just smother it in cheese. And the mushrooms haven't completely disintegrated like I thought they would. So not an entirely terrible idea. In fact, seems like a pretty smart one. Although fresh is still better, that was a fraction of the price. And there we go, I've cooked the pasta, our bow-shaped, bow tie pasta, whatever you want to call it, and stirred it through the sauce. Some people like it just kind of the sauce on top. You know what, I think that's actually alright. I've definitely made a lot worse. Suppose we should eat now instead of me just stirring it around. However, before we do that very quickly, because you know how we just love to chuck some random facts in every now and again, we did look it up, the pasta, and the way you pronounce it is farfalle. Is that right, Stephen?
Farfalle.
Farfalle. We've got to kind of exaggerate the Italian pronunciation of the farfalle bit, I guess. Farfalle. Is that right?
I think so.
Oh God, I'm no good at this. Anyway, it's not what we were saying, but crucially, the fact here, it's not bow tie pasta or bow pasta, which is what we often call it or refer to it as back home. The word farfalle actually means butterfly, so they are meant to look like butterflies, I guess. So there you go, some information while we were cooking. I don't think any of us expected that because I didn't. So we've learnt something new, haven't we, Stephen? And now we can eat because it's just going to get cold. So there we go, one farfalle pasta, or butterfly pasta if you like. Well, I've just sat down after making mine and Stephen's nearly finished his. So that's got to be something positive, hasn't it?
Yeah,
unless you're just like desperate or whatever.
No, it's not.
It's good, is it? Hurrah. And those mushrooms in the tin weren't too bad, were they?
They're alright.
They actually worked. They stayed together. I'm knackered now, I can't be bothered to eat.
I'm sure you'll manage.
Yeah, probably. Good morning. This is our view this morning. Not much of a view, but at least it's a little bit private, so that's always quite nice. Decent place to stay, wasn't it, Stephen? As you put the bed up. And one last thing before we get up and ready to move. Stephen, I've booked my appointment with the barber.
That'll be £50, please.
Oh, that's about right.
Yep.
No, I'll do anything else. I haven't got it.
Oh, that kind of it.
I'll clean your blades.
No.
Well, I'm good at sweeping
No
up.
haircut. No money, no haircut.
Oh, I'll just go and rob a bank.
Oh, alright then.
They tend to leave the doors open in Germany, in the German banks, so I'll just do that. And they really do, by the way. The cash points rule indoors. It's very strange. We're going to attempt to film this in some manner, but we're in a really awkward position because we've got these bushes right behind us. This looks really dodgy right now, doesn't it? So let's get on with this. I don't know if we'll get anything. I mean, I'm sure you've seen this before. It's not that interesting, but, you know, whatever. Oh my God, my knees hurt after that. Jesus Christ. Pretty good job, I think.
What?
I'll tell you what, I'll leave that little yellow sweet and I'll leave that as a deposit while I go and search for the 50 quid, okay? But I'll be right back.
Alright.
Alright. No, that's really good. Thank you, Stephen. I like that. Nice job. Well, I think that's it then this week, isn't it, really?
Aye.
I've been to the barber's, had my hair done. I'm still searching for the 50 quid to pay him, but I'll send it in the post or something.
Yeah.
Alright?
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Or just put it on credit.
As the Spanish say, mañana.
What does that mean?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Oh my God,
Mañana.
exactly. Why have I never thought about that? Tomorrow. But with that, we're going to end the video.
Aye, that's it. I'm melting as usual.
Yeah,
It's very warm today.
Doesn't this always happen when we end a video? It feels like it.
It does. So please push your like button, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy watching us. Push your notification bell so you can get a notification when we put one out next.
Yeah.
And that's it. We will see you next time.
And don't forget to like the video, press the thumbs up button on the video. You do like it? Did you say it?
Yeah, I said that.
Oh, I thought you did. Oh, never mind.
Never mind.
It's too early in the morning. Well, it's not actually. It's nearly afternoon, but whatever.
Anyway.
Okay, well, we'll see you next time. We are still going to be in Germany. We're travelling on through a little bit more of the Black Forest, so we will see you then.
All right, bye.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.